Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we have our second war of the season 30. And we are up against X-K9. X-K9. I think there's also a plus. I believe the two alliances are related. But yeah, we're up against the minus version. And yeah, so getting straight to it. This first fight is one of the simpler ones that I've been assigned out of the 5, but I give away a death and it's going to be pretty embarrassing, to be honest. Here you can see I've gone for my parry, and as I've released my parry I've tried to dash forward, but I've actually dashed back. I don't know if that was just as I released my thumb, I've accidentally gone back. But yeah, then dashing forward I've been intercepted and comboed, and of course now I've gone for the nuke, and obviously looking back I should have not done those 5 combos but done shortened combos just to start working towards my special 2, then slow played a bit to bait 1 or 2 of his specials because his power gains hadn't even really stacked up. It was so early in the fight and I could have got it under control and possibly just melted him with my own special 2. But yeah, it was just a really stupid, I just panicked, because the whole plan was invulnerability boost and then nuke the fight, knowing that I can just combo freely. If he gets a special 3, it will use up 1 of the 3 hits I can take from an invulnerability boost. And yeah, plan went out the window, and usually I'm pretty composed. Sometimes if plan goes out the window I adapt, but that fight I crapped the bed on it. I'll hold my hand up and I'll say I embarrassingly died there. Just really made a poor decision. And here I just, as you can see, he's got over 60% going into this. But I should get it down quite quickly because I know what I'm doing now. And I mean, these kind of things happen, but obviously last war I gave a silly death, and now and on the first fight of each war, it's something that plays on your mind a bit. But last war I got myself composed again, got my 4 other solos, and that is the aim now for this war. You've got to, that at this level, the biggest thing is, mistakes can happen, but it's how you respond to them. You've got to stay composed because every death matters, every attack bonus you drop matters because it's just so tight come the end of the season. So I had to get my head straight and yeah, just go again really. Okay, so this second fight was interesting for sure. Moleman obviously isn't immune to incinerate or poison, and this is hazard shift. However, he can shrug things within, I believe, half a second or a second. He shrugs a debuff off as long as he's below 20 monster mass, which are those little green charges in the top left for those potentially less aware of Moleman's abilities, and not in frenzy. So the aim is to be very careful not to accidentally take a hit on block, but that one was intentional because I've got my special 2, I've power started, and I've put skill power back boost as well, knowing that in frenzy they're going to do a lot of damage, in here as well, just clean it out. And that was my only Moleman fight as well, so towards the end there, of course, that second special 2 for example, I didn't line it up very well. I threw it from a distance and wasted some hits that could have taken him down further, and also ate up some of the time of my frenzy because I triggered it fairly early because I didn't want to risk going to a special 3 and then screwing the plan. Yeah, he was a pretty good option there, and perhaps that's, you wouldn't generally think to send a Moleman on that path, so credit to DLL and his planning for doing that. And yeah, it worked out a treat. So here we've got Claire. She's already a little bit ramped from that aarkus fight, so we're just going to build her to 25 charges to go into binary. And that's about it for this fight. Then you've got buffs. You're always, ibom can't gain any buffs, so he's not going to get any for the buff imbalance. You're not a mystic, so you don't have to worry about any divine barrier, and you'll just nuke damage. I had a power back boost here. I didn't have a cosmics damage boost because I had the mystic one on ready for the next fight, which I'm taking with Doom. But I did put the 200% power back just because I am taking a mini boss with Claire as well, so that was kind of the plan, and I've boosted, you know, pretty heavy as well for these last 3 fights because I was taking them all in one go right towards the end of the war. They were literally these 3 fights, and then the last fight was going to be the boss. And by this point as well, I will say it does, obviously this is about to spoil the result of the war, but we lost the war. And so we were quite far behind. It was clearly a lost war at that point, but still I boosted heavy, I did all my duels and practice, and that's what you've got to do at this level. You've got to show that respect for everyone else who's, you know, putting their resources and their effort into it. And also, like I mentioned earlier in the video, every attack bonus matters at this level. It's so tight, so even if it's a clear loss, you've got to keep laser focused, and that's why sometimes as well, it's best to just not look at the score. Just take your fights as you would any other. Go for the solo and nothing less. Right, so here, this is actually just a quick screenshot before my 4th of 5 fights. Is before the war, actually. Me and DLL had been chatting about my Super Skrull fight with Doom from the previous war, which I had run with 3 out of 5 MD, and now I'm up to 5 out of 5. So it was just general chat about, you know, me talking about things that I know I could have done better from the last one to make it a cleaner solo, and then also just anticipating as well the difference from 3 out of 5 and 5 out of 5 MD, and yeah, it's just a little conversation around that. And then he goes, so how would you feel about doing that again? I was just like, good. Why? And it was suddenly clicking in my head, oh, there's probably a Super Skrull in the same spot, isn't there? Because I hadn't looked at the war yet. I had been busy, so yeah, there was, and that is this next coming fight number 4. So yeah, we have Doom up against Super Skrull. He's got Rich Get Richer, buff and balance, and he has Divine Barrier. I think he'll block passive as well. So yeah, the aim here is obviously control his buffs so you can control his power. And I am still, you know, like I said, I've got a few fights, so luckily I'm pretty heavily boosted. I'm actually using my first ever 30% boost in war. And so for this fight, I have Mystic 12% special damage boost. But as you'll see there, the Cosmic 200% is still up for my next fight. I opted to not go for power back because from power back, my worry was when I'm throwing these special 3s, I'm getting Furies and also MD from nullifying his buffs. I might be getting to like special 2s and 3s really constantly and may never have the option of a special 1, which I do want available. The special 3 is the primary route, but I want the special 1s available for stealing buffs in between when Divine Barrier isn't up, and also controlling his power. So something to note as well is, just because I know I'm going to be cycling special 3s and controlling his power pretty well, doesn't mean I don't need to bait any specials of his. So I am still taking the time to bait specials. That's also a way of controlling his power. Sometimes easy to forget when you're thinking about doing power stealing and, you know, having these special 3 cycles. It can be very easy to just ignore in other content, but in something like war, something that I was reminded so brutally against Red Goblin last war is take the opportunity to bait specials when you can at the end of the day. You know, the less power they have, the better. But as you can see, this is going so much cleaner and smoother than last war. And, you know, Doom managed it very well. I have also managed the folders quite well. I've been paying close attention to those. It's another thing, you don't want to get caught in an awkward spot where you need to hit him to control his power or whatever, but you can't because of the folder being up. So yeah, I was quite proud of this one going down so clean. So yeah, this definitely was a much needed confidence boost after the first fight of this war, and going into what was going to be, in my opinion, my sketchiest and definitely most worrying fight of the war. It's a Nova on the Hazard Shift miniboss. So I do have the Wags pre-fight placed for me. Someone had one spare, and I was like, he was asking, you know, does anyone need it? I said, yes, chuck it on. I will happily take that extra bit of attack because she's a hero. But yeah, obviously it's a stun immune fight anyway, so I'm not getting those extra passive stuns. But yeah, the plan here in this fight is, obviously she's immune to poison, and the Incinerator are going to send you into binary faster. But when she's in binary, you've also now got the indestructible, so you can afford to kind of nuke it even if he's in incinerate phase. But as that indestructible starts to wear off, which as you've seen is getting closer to now, then I have to be more careful of stacking incinerates on myself because I don't want to know until my binary has expired, of course, when I can maybe get a few of them just to send me into binary again. You've also got to be wary of his auto blocks when he's got 75 charges, so he can auto block anytime with a Fury buff active, but he can parry you. He can activate the parry mastery if he's above 75 charges, so you do not want to do that. Here I've opted to go for the special 3 first as well. There I got a bit backed up, so it was actually convenient to get me out of the corner. However, I also found that if I had thrown my special 2, I probably wouldn't have got there. But the special 3 was the original plan, just because special 2s are unblockable for a Cat Marvel movie in binary. And Nova reduces the damage of them by about 75% or something like that. But yeah, other than that, so I would definitely say for future runs, I would throw more special 2s just because it will help me manage high ground better as well in terms of doing more hits. And I also feel it would stop me getting as backed up as I did earlier. Another thing to note, probably bait special 1s earlier rather than relying on baiting his heavy, because high ground damage, as you saw, really took me a bit low there and made it a bit riskier. But we got our 4th solo off the war, and as you can see, I was pretty pumped and relieved. Honestly, when I look back, I think at the 2 deaths I've had this season so far and how stupid they were, the small silver lining is at least they were literally just two really dumb deaths, like where I know the root cause, like I know I can fix those going forward easily. They were just sloppy deaths, as opposed to something where I'm just like, damn, how do I fix that in future? And here, I included a clip of my hand post-fight, which I'd also sent to my alliance just because I was shaking. I was shaking after that one, but man, it was a relief. And finally, as a little bonus, of course, with Cyber Weekend approaching, Gabam want to drain our units, so they've put Hercules cavs out. And despite on Vega's Discord telling people absolutely not to touch them, I was like, you know what, why not one? We're on 3.6k units, let's open one. And we get a 3-star Hela. So I go, now we're on 3.3k units. So if we open one more, we're still above 3k, right? We can take that. So I go for one more. And if these were both 3 stars, I probably wouldn't have even bothered including them in the video, especially because it's not a crystal opening video, it's a war video. But I've included it because this one, well, it's hit and miss. It's a bit mixed feelings about it, but I get a 6-star. I can tell you that. But it's a 6-star Sunspot, and I like this guy. He's really fun. He's already SIG 200 though, so man, SIG 200 6-star pulls. They need to make these feel a bit nicer. Give us some 6-star shards back or something. I know they can't give out 7-star shards because we don't want to see those in the contest. Something to make it more interesting than a very basic amount of ISO that wouldn't even be enough to take a 6-star up to max level at rank 1. So anyway, it is what it is. Yeah, so I realised as well I forgot to throw in the war results as I usually do at the end of my fights. So I went back onto the game to get a screenshot because I realised I hadn't even taken one. As you can see, it was a pretty rough war for our alliance, and once I was done with my fights, I just logged off, had some chores to get back on with, so I completely forgot. But those are our stats, and yeah, there's no shying away from the fact that 19 deaths is nowhere near what you should be performing at as a Masters hopeful alliance. So it is just simply pick yourselves up and go again. We've got to get better. I think the fact that they finished so early and with just their 5 deaths probably threw a few people a little bit in terms of just heads starting to droop. But no, every attack bonus matters, so most people, in fact all people, I feel like will be on the same page that you keep trying the same regardless. And yeah, 19 deaths has got to be a lot lower. As an alliance, we do want to aim for 5 or less. It does seem like with high ground this season, it might be a little higher for a lot of alliances, but sub 10 is still going to be the absolute, boundary usually, and then aim sub 5 as much as possible. But yeah, that's really all there is to say. It's not a good look, and we've got to get better. But we're 1 win, 1 loss for the season, so it's still very much early days. And if we get a good win streak going, we get the wins we need to secure Masters, this war will not matter at all. So we've got 1 win in the bag. We want a good 6 or 7 more probably. And yeah, we've got to just make sure now we don't let ourselves slip into a losing streak, because we've got to stay in tier 1, keep getting those tier 1 points and wins. But yeah, that will be all for this war video, so take care, and I will see you in the next